In my last video, I explained why money which is scarce, meaning hard to produce, doesn't need to be backed by anything. Gold was one example of a relatively scarce money. But Bitcoin is the perfect example of scarce money since its supply is absolutely fixed, and there will never be more than 21 million Bitcoin produced. I highlighted the importance of that fixed supply in a previous video. Check it out using the link below. And be sure to hit the subscribe button to keep up with my videos as I continue to break down what Bitcoin is and how it works. In this video, I'll discuss more about this idea of money being backed. So back in 1971, the US completely abandoned the gold standard, with disastrous results as seen in this graph, showing how easy it was for the government to expand the money supply since it wasn't linked to anything hard to produce. The US government printed and printed and printed, allowing it to pay for things and buy up assets both at home and abroad, which it couldn't have otherwise. One by one, other countries which had backed their paper currencies with gold got in on the act and dropped the gold backing so they could print their money freely too. Switzerland was one of the last holdouts, which is why having money in a Swiss bank account used to be such a big deal, since that money wouldn't be debased like every other unbacked paper money. But in May of the year 2000, they too completely dropped the gold backing of their Swiss franc. But the idea of the importance of money needing to be backed persisted. Keep in mind, the original definition of dollars being backed by gold meant they were redeemable for gold. But now, since abandoning the gold standard, you'll hear it said that the US dollar is backed by the full faith and credit of the US government. This supposedly means the US government won't default on its debt obligations. So if you have US dollars, you'll have something of value the US government will honor. When you look at the level of ever-increasing US debt, it makes it hard to believe the US government will ever even be able to pay that back, even if they wanted to. Trust me, bro. So what is the full faith and credit of the US even worth? Others will say the backing of the dollar is ensured by the productive capital and labor of the US workforce, which is one of the largest and supposedly strongest economies in the world. Is that guaranteed to continue indefinitely? What about the retiring boomer generation and declining birth rate in the US? Wouldn't that hint at the fact that the economy won't continue to grow, but might actually start going the other way? More cynical people will say what really backs the US dollar is the US military, since at the end of the day, if another country that owned a lot of US debt and demanded the government pay it back, well, good luck getting it or forcing the US government's hand by threat of war when facing such a large military power as the US. So in the end, few if any nations will attempt that, so the power of the US dollar is secure. Whatever the case, the US dollar has no real, tangible backing like it used to, and every other paper currency in the world is even worse since they are even less able to back their paper by the same promises, economic power, or military as the US. But let's get back to Bitcoin. If you want to play with the definition of what it means to back a currency like people try to do with the US dollar long after it was severed from gold, then one could make the argument that Bitcoin is backed. It's backed by something more trustworthy than the word of a political entity. Bitcoin is backed by energy, cryptography, math, and the Bitcoin protocol. It is too much to unpack these fully in this video. But electrical energy is used in the creation of new Bitcoins and to process the transactions in a way that makes forging or counterfeiting impossible. Sophisticated cryptography is built into the way the entire Bitcoin network operates. And the Bitcoin protocol is a set of written rules which everyone who uses Bitcoin agrees to, and no one has top-down control or ability to change these rules against the will of the users. Energy is scarce and hard to produce. Math is timeless and incorruptible, even more so than gold. The Bitcoin protocol is locked in, based on the collective interests of every individual who owns it and doesn't want it to change. So ultimately, which money would you prefer to use? To continue to learn more about what makes Bitcoin better than unbacked paper currencies and how it works, hit the subscribe, like, and notification icons to catch my next videos. And check out my free resource linked in the description.